Hello, IMF family. Pastor John here, and today I have something for you that I'm going to challenge your thinking, and I have something just really cool to bring to you, and it's this. So I am right now, just as is in this video, I'm 54 years old, all right? I'm 54 years old. And I was sitting here thinking, what would 54-year-old John tell 30-year-old John? So in ministry, I started ministry when I was 25 or 26 is when I got involved in ministry. I came to Christ when I was 23, went to Bible college for a couple of years, ended up getting my bachelor's degree, but I went into ministry. And I tell you, I thought I was going to change the world, thought everything was going to be amazing and everything was just going to work out. And now I've been in ministry for a long time. And so what would 54-year-old John tell 30-year-old John or 25-year-old John? And I came up with 10 statements that I would tell my younger self. Here's the first one. John, you are not immune to burnout. That's right. You are not immune to burnout. And of course, you know why I say that, because yes, I did have 3 distinct periods in the last 20-some years where I felt completely and utterly burned out. And because you will burn out, you need to develop sustainable systems up front for you so that you have a healthy rhythm in your own life. It's not about balance, it's about rhythm. Balance is impossible. It's about developing a healthy rhythm. Second, dream big and give those big dreams time to mature. So yeah, go ahead and dream big. I mean, everyone's like, oh, I'm 30 years old. We're going to reach 1 million people for Christ by the time I'm 35. You know, you're like, okay, it's good to dream big, but you know, we look at these huge preachers and these amazing people on TV, and their church went from like 2 people to 10,000 in 1 week, and now they're doing seminars and yada, yada, yada. It's okay to dream big, but chances are you need to dream big and then give that dream time to mature. I remember the first Sunday when I stood up in front of it was actually 82 people that I stood up in front of, and that was on Easter, because the next week there was only 23 people in church when we planted it. But I stood up in front of our entire church and said, can you imagine a church in 10 years, a church with over 2,000 people, with a daycare that was fully functioning and a start of a school, and I envisioned all these plans, and 10 years later, we did not have 2,000 people yet. We did not have a school. We did have a daycare. And now we've since, 20-some years later, we've grown a lot more. But back then, I had big dreams, but I was also a little bit ambitious and impatient. So it's okay to have big dreams, but you let those big dreams mature. And third is that you're going to face more setbacks than you can possibly even imagine right now. You will face situations, most of them involving people, that you can't even anticipate now, the pain that they will bring you and the difficulties that you will face. But I encourage you, stay connected to Christ and stay committed for the long haul. Do not look to the left and to the right and immediately jump to, I just want to quit because you have one problem with one issue. The chances are that the problem you're facing is not as big as you think, and it won't be as painful as you think, but on the front end of it, it seems like this is it, this is a game changer, and this is going to wipe me out. So you stay focused, you stay connected to Christ, and even when you have those difficult moments, you hang on. Fourth, build good relationships inside and outside the church. Inside and outside the church. For a long time, all I had was relationships in the church. And when people left the church for various reasons, or they died, got divorced, or moved away, or just thought they didn't like the music, or they thought my preaching was bad, whatever the case might be, I was personally devastated. And then I learned that I can have friends outside of the church. So I didn't play in the church softball league anymore. I played in a bar league with some of my friends. I played in a hockey league, as I'm a hockey player. I played hockey with a group of friends, and at first none of them came to church, and then eventually a few started coming to church, but I developed friends that were outside the church. And you need to know, Pastor, that's okay to have friends who are outside the church. You're like, well, I shouldn't be friends with non-Christians. No, actually you should. That's the whole point of making disciples. So have friends inside and outside the church. Number 5, put your family first. That's right, put your family first. One of my mentors said to me once when I was all busy doing everything, he says, John, who controls your schedule? I said, I do. Then he goes, well, fix it. That's all he said. And he was right. So I fixed my schedule. I showed up at my kids' games. I showed up at t-ball. I showed up at soccer. I showed up at volleyball. I showed up at hockey. I showed up at school events. I adjusted my schedule because your family and my family comes first. The church is not your mistress. If you're a male, if you're female, it's not your main man. The church comes second. Your family comes first. So build your schedule around your family. That's very important to do. And I wish I would have done that probably 10 years sooner than I actually did. So that's my advice to younger me. Number 6, don't confuse being busy with being effective. Don't confuse being busy with being effective. You can be busy doing all kinds of things and you still might not be effective. Focus on being effective. And if you're effective, you'll have plenty to do. And if you're effective, you're also going to be able to say no to certain things. And if you just want to be busy, you can be busy spinning in circles and moving things and talking, and you don't have to do everything. And I'm just going to give you a bonus here too. I didn't even think of this till now. But other people's crisis should not be your emergency. Other people's crisis should not be your emergency. Yes, there's some times when you drop everything and deal with it, but the truth is probably 90% of the time when the crisis I deal with, it's really not my emergency. They're just in some situation that usually works itself out, but I want people to know that their crisis shouldn't always be your emergency. All right, now back to my regular list. Number 7, take care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. That's right. Oftentimes pastors neglect themselves. They eat crummy food. They don't go work out at the gym. We're always dealing with church stuff. And that's why you have a lot of pastors who are unhealthy, physically unhealthy, emotionally unhealthy, and even spiritually unhealthy. And that's right. You can be so busy doing God's work that you neglect your personal relationship with Christ. So be sure that you take time to care for yourself. It's kind of like the old adage on the plane, like when the oxygen mask drops, put it on yourself so that you can help other people. If you try to put it on them first, you'll probably be dead. So when it comes to taking care of yourself physically, spiritually, and emotionally, you take care of you so that you're able to take care of others. And number 8, this might be hard for younger me, but ask for advice, okay? You don't always have to have the answer, John. Ask for advice, and it's okay to do that. You can ask for advice. It's a good thing. Find other people who will speak into your life. Find mentors, older senior pastors who will pour into you, who you can call and just say, hey, I'm struggling here, or hey, I've got a staff issue, or hey, I'm running across something, I don't know how to handle it. What would you do if you were me? It's okay to find those friends, and that has to be very intentional. You have to intentionally make those relationships, and it's worth it. Number 9, take time off. The church isn't going to blow up. Man, I remember thinking the first few years of our church plant, like if I leave, the whole church is going to blow up and blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, I did have some other pastors who spoke, and their messages were not very good. And maybe there was a glitch in the music, or someone forgot communion. And the truth is, the church didn't blow up. They're just fine. Your church is more durable than what you think. So you need to take time off. Take time off with your family. Go on vacation. I'm not talking opulent vacations. I'm talking just do what's in your means. Go camping. Camp in your own backyard. Stay home. Go visit friends. Go get connected with a denominational camp or something. Just take time off. And it's okay for you to take a day just for you, to recover, to think, to ponder, to reflect, to be with your kids, take them to the zoo. Do something fun. Take care of you. And number 10, you don't have to be an expert at everything. I know you're a senior pastor. I know that you're a lead pastor. I know you're an XP or kids. I know that people come to you for counseling and because the car's broke and because their sink doesn't work and because they have a theological question, because they want to know more about Revelation or they want to know more about Genesis. You don't have to be an expert on everything. Nobody is an expert on everything. So if there's things that you really don't know the answer to, just say, hey, I don't really know the answer. Have you Googled it? Or if it's something that is kind of in your wheelhouse and you still don't know, say, hey, I'm going to take a few minutes and research this. And once I find out more information, I'll get back to you. So younger me would tell, or older me would tell younger me, you don't have to be an expert on everything. And you don't always have to be the wisest person in the room that has to speak up on everything. So if you do those 10 things, or you take those 10 steps of advice, it's going to help you, especially if you're younger. And if you are older, if you're my age or older than me, think back, and what would you tell a younger version of yourself? And then go find those younger versions of yourself who are currently ministering in your circles, and you impart the wisdom that you've learned on them. Together, we're going to make a difference. And you need to know at IMF that we serve you because we are committed to serving those who serve others in frontline Christian ministries because it is difficult. And I want to impart all the wisdom I have onto the next generation of leaders because we need you to push back the darkness. Our world is in a perilous state, and we need Jesus now more than ever. Thanks for being part of the IMF family.